Mathew Weigman, born on April 20th, 1990, in East Boston, Massachusetts, is not a typical name you find in the world of hacking legends. Known as Lil Hacker, he was no ordinary cybercriminal. Legally blind due to optic nerve atrophy, Mathew possessed an extraordinary gift, an uncanny ability to hear and remember sounds with astonishing precision. What began as childhood curiosity would eventually spiral into a dangerous game that attracted the attention of federal authorities and landed him in prison before his 20th birthday. The making of a prodigy. Growing up with severe visual impairment, Mathew relied heavily on his hearing. His condition allowed him only minimal light perception, but his ears picked up every tiny detail of the world around him. By the age of 11, he discovered something that would change his life forever: party lines. Free telephone chat rooms where people from all over the country could talk to strangers anonymously. It was on these party lines that young Mathew honed his skills. He was fascinated by the telephone system, how it worked, how people could connect across vast distances. As he spent more time on the lines, he encountered a community of phone freaks, people who manipulated the telephone system for fun and mischief. They taught him the old tricks of the trade: how to mimic tones, manipulate operators, and bypass security systems. Mathew, however, didn't just learn the basics. His highly developed hearing enabled him to recognize telephone tones instantly and memorize entire phone numbers simply by the sounds they made. His ability to impersonate different voices, including telephone company employees, made him nearly unstoppable. Crossing the line, while many freakers limited themselves to harmless pranks, Mathew's activities grew darker. He started using his skills to harass people he met on the party lines, exacting revenge on those who annoyed or rejected him. His favorite weapon was swatting, the dangerous act of making a hoax call to emergency services to send armed SWAT teams to an unsuspecting victim's home. In one instance, Mathew impersonated a gunman holding hostages, prompting a full-scale police response. The victims were completely innocent and had no idea why heavily armed officers surrounded their homes. These acts, intended as revenge or intimidation, put lives at serious risk. At the same time, Mathew began hacking into telecommunications systems, manipulating caller IDs, shutting down phone lines, and gaining unauthorized access to private information. His skills were so advanced that he could spoof phone numbers, making it nearly impossible to trace calls back to him. The beginning of the end. By 2008, Mathew Weigman had become a high-priority target for law enforcement agencies. His activities had escalated beyond harmless pranks to serious crimes that endangered public safety. Telecom companies, especially Verizon, began investigating him closely. When a Verizon security investigator started closing in on Mathew, he didn't back down. Instead, Mathew decided to confront the investigator directly by showing up at his home, accompanied by an adult accomplice. He tried to intimidate the investigator into dropping the case. This aggressive act of retaliation crossed a line that authorities could no longer ignore. In May 2008, federal agents arrested Mathew at his home. He was charged with multiple crimes, including conspiracy to retaliate against a witness and unauthorized access to protected computers. Facing the consequences, Mathew eventually pleaded guilty to the charges. In court, prosecutors described him not just as a mischievous teenager, but as a genuine threat who had exploited his remarkable talents for criminal purposes. In 2009, he was sentenced to 135 months in federal prison, more than 11 years behind bars. The case shocked many who followed it. How could a blind teenager, seemingly limited by disability, become one of the most notorious phone hackers in America? Mathew Weigman's story demonstrated that intelligence and talent, when misused, could have devastating consequences. Legacy. Mathew Weigman's rise and fall offer a powerful cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked genius. His story is a complex one. On one hand, it highlights the incredible potential of human adaptability. On the other, it shows how that potential can be twisted when not guided by ethical boundaries. After his imprisonment, Mathew's story continued to be cited in discussions about cybercrime, social engineering, and the evolving threats in a world where technology increasingly outpaces regulation. Today, Mathew Weigman remains a symbol of how vulnerabilities in human systems, whether in technology or in trust, can be exploited by those who understand them best. Conclusion: Mathew Weigman, the blind hacker, defied expectations in both inspiring and troubling ways. His incredible skills prove that disability does not limit capability, yet his choices turn those abilities into tools of fear and disruption. His story is a reminder that talent, no matter how extraordinary, must be tempered with responsibility or risk becoming a force for destruction.